Peace, Love, Liberty Radio version 4.0. Prepare for launch.
OTC is go.
Cannabis is go.
PTC is go.
LPS is go.
Houston flight is go.
Pilot go.
STM is go.
Safety comms is go.
STU is go.
LRD is go.
SRO is go.
CDR is go.
Launch Director, NTD, our launch team is ready to proceed at this time.
99, proceeded, 3, 2, 1, ignition. Right away, Houston.
Consequences so severe, so pull your trigger quickly, dear. Our patriots are acting up, let's punish them with fear. Hey, hey!
It's version 4.0, and, I just realized how fitting the opening line there from Jordan Page. That's the opening music there, Jordan Page. The song is War Machine. And yes, it's the same song that I had previously been using as the opening song. It's just a different part. And I put that together several weeks ago. The opening sequence there, it's been prepared for several weeks. But I just realized how fitting it is that the line right there before it sort of fades out is our patriots are acting up, let's punish them with fear. And, well, the things that have been happening recently to where the LRN studios were raided, I talked about that a little bit on Monday, and I'll post that link in the show notes. It's also been talked about extensively on Free Talk Live and in some of the media, and I'll post some links over to that as well. But I didn't even think about it when I put it together. And, obviously, why would I be like, something's going to happen, and, people that I know are going to be terrorized by federal agents. And I honestly didn't even remember what the line was that I had in the opening sequence. But it, I heard it and I was like, oh, wow, that is so fitting for life right now. But this is Wednesday. It's the Ask Me Anything. And yes, this is episode 300, the launch of version 4.0 of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. So I had said on Monday that I would explain sort of the shift in direction of the show. And the Ask Me Anything, it's still going to happen every Wednesday, and I will still answer any question. You can send those over to ama@fppradio.com. But the Monday and Friday shows, instead of being more focused on news, it's going to be focused on like a self-help sort of personal growth sort of thing. And that's something that I sort of started doing a little bit back in January, I believe it was. And so, the shift in direction, not the personal growth. That's what I started back in January, to where, I talked about some of the podcasts that I listened to and some of the things that I've started doing. So I've started using a task organizer and stuff like that. And, yeah, so, basically the show is going to wind up being Darryl's open-air therapy session, to where I am having therapy with myself. And you will hopefully join me in listening and, giving me some feedback, critiques, etc. So, because today is Wednesday and because it is the Ask Me Anything, I will now jump into your questions. The first question, you know what, I'm going to go with the longer question and answer first. The longer question, and this is in response to a question from last week, where the question was about what story is going unnoticed. And so the person that submitted that question submitted a new question, prefaced by a statement. He says, I'm the one that asked what story is going unnoticed. You read it with a conspiratorial tone that I did not intend. I meant to be sort of vague, open-ended question to allow you to point out things that you found interesting but were undercovered. Why, and here's the question, why do conspiracy theorists and white supremacists think that libertarians would be amenable to their message? Is there a conspiracy theory you like when you enjoy whether or not you believe it. So I will attempt to answer the why do conspiracy theorists and white supremacists think that libertarians would be amenable to their message by saying this, that a lot of people think that libertarian just means anti-government or anti this particular government. And you do have a lot of people that wind up, being conspiracy theorists, that they're opposed to the government that we have because, well, the U.S. government has done these horrible things and blah, blah, blah. We need a different government. A different government wouldn't do these horrible things. Something, something global elite, blah, 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 etc., etc. Or you've got the white supremacists that aren't happy with the way the government is operating because they see it as somehow, like oppressing the white people or something along those lines. And so they want to institute their own sort of thing. And yeah, they're not libertarians. They get confused on what libertarian means because you do have the people that want to have the big tent libertarian. And I've talked about the big tent before. What happens with big tent libertarianism is that the elephant poops on everybody. And I'm not interested in having that sort of libertarian movement or that sort of libertarian party to where the elephants are pooping on people. And yes, the elephants are metaphors for Republicans. And yeah, I don't want the Republicans co-opting the libertarian message. I don't want the Democrats co-opting the libertarian message either. But it seems that a lot of people within the Libertarian Party are perfectly happy to have Republicans co-opt the message. So let me now jump into the next question. And this one I'm going to take a good bit of time to answer. The question is there a conspiracy theory that you like when you enjoy whether or not you believe it? And I will say that I am intrigued by a lot of conspiracy theories. But let me preface my entire answer by saying that it really doesn't matter. It really honestly does not matter in the course of human events. It does not matter whether or not the CIA was involved in killing Kennedy, whether or not NASA ever landed on the moon, whether or not, the FBI killed Martin Luther King Jr. or whoever else. It doesn't really matter, and I'll explain why it doesn't matter before I tell you what conspiracy theories I do like. This is Peace, Love, Liberty Radio version 4.0. You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates, like Namecheap, Spendabit, and Amazon at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. Or you can shop directly from FPP with Bitcoin in the Bitcoin store. That's shop.fppradio.com. The Doublespeak Dictionary by Leslie Starr O'Hara satirizes the marked difference between the ideal of we the people and the reality of we the elite, while offering an insightful glimpse into the clockworks of the totalitarian mind. Ever irreverent but never irrelevant, the Doublespeak Dictionary serves as a subversive and humorous but timely reminder that the emperor has no clothes. The Doublespeak Dictionary is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry. Online at fppradio.com.
So, Darryl, what conspiracy theories do you like? I'm glad you asked. But first, let me tell you why it doesn't matter. Why none of them matter. None of the conspiracy theories matter at all. And yes, I know that there are some things that at one time were labeled conspiracy theories that turned out to be conspiracy fact, but it did not undo the horrible things that were done by government in the name of whatever thing it was. The people whose lives were harmed or ruined were never compensated. They never received restitution afterwards. What was it? The Tuskegee Airmen, or there was some sort of thing where the federal government was given people in Tuskegee syphilis or something. Yeah, federal government never wound up giving them, restitution, making them whole. They just later admit, oh yeah, we did this thing. We ruined a bunch of people's lives, gave a bunch of people syphilis, and, well, it was for science. The federal government has admitted, several other things. MK Ultra is something that I know a lot of people are really big into, and they're like, well, the government admitted blah, blah, blah. Operation Northwoods, Operation Paperclip, and the list goes on and on. Remember the Maine, the USS Maine that started the Spanish-American War, where years later it came out, the boat blew up because of mechanical error, not because of a missile or bomb or torpedo or whatever. But, oh well. So there are things that governments have done that later came out and was like, yeah, this was actually the government that did this thing. But honestly, it does not matter. And the reason it does not matter, again, because people aren't compensated. They're not made whole. Policies don't wind up being undone. So my whole thing on 9/11, and I do have questions about some of the stuff with 9/11, but I'm not going to, focus on it and be like, we have to tell people blah, 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 because it doesn't matter. If George W. Bush held a press conference tomorrow and said, yes, I had Building 7 blown up, and I had people put explosives in Building 1 and 2, and this is what happened, and this is how we found the 19 people from the Middle East to fly airplanes, and this is exactly how I did it. It would not undo the USA Patriot Act. It would not undo the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. It would not bring back the hundreds of thousands of people that were killed in those wars. It would not make any difference at all if the quote-unquote truth came out tomorrow or later today or in a week or at any point in the future. Would not undo anything that happened. Finding out that the CIA killed Kennedy, it wouldn't make any difference. It would not make a damn bit of difference if, George H.W. Bush, who's, as far as I know, the only person in the world that was alive on the day that John F. Kennedy was killed that doesn't remember where he was, if he came out tomorrow or later today and said, yes, I set up the whole thing to kill Kennedy, it doesn't matter. It doesn't undo anything. It doesn't make any difference at all. So that's why none of this really matters. The conspiracy theory that I am most intrigued by would be the Kennedy assassination. And that's partly because I did a research paper on that in 9th grade. I read the entire Warren Commission report, all 1,200 pages of it, and I also read about 5 other books, and I came up with a theory that apparently is very similar to what Oliver Stone came up with in the movie JFK that I've never seen, to where LBJ wanted to be president. He knew that he would not be able to get elected on his own merit, and I'm convinced that he worked with some government agents to wind up taking out Kennedy for the sole purpose of being able to be president. But again, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all that, there are a lot of unanswered questions. Doesn't matter at all that we may never find out the truth. And again, the reason it doesn't matter is because nothing is going to be undone. The family of John F. Kennedy, they're not going to somehow be given restitution of, oh, yeah, sorry we killed your grandfather 60 years ago. Here's money to make it right. There's no way to make it right, so it really doesn't matter. I'm also sort of intrigued, and I don't believe this one at all, but the whole flat earth thing, I guess I'm just more intrigued with how people could actually wind up believing that. And if you are a flat earther, if you believe in the flat earth, I want you to explain a couple of things to me. Time zones in conjunction with the way sunsets, basically. So like when the sun is rising in Keene, New Hampshire, it's still nighttime in California. So if it was a flat earth, the sun would rise at the same time everywhere across the globe. Also, explain to me the way seasons work, to where when it's summer in North America, it is wintertime in South America, and vice versa. And also the fact that there are seasons at all. So there's summer, fall, winter, and spring. If there was really a flat Earth, you would not have any of those things. So please explain how those things work on the flat Earth. Now, that said, let me know. Send me emails, ama@fppradio.com, and let me know if there are any conspiracy theories that you really appreciate, ones that you think are absolutely ludicrous, but you can get a good laugh out of nonetheless. Now, let me jump into the other question that was submitted. My question is, when the LP stated that Austin Petersen lost to other, was that you? It had to be. And what this question is in reference to is the Libertarian Party primary in the state of Missouri that happened last week, where there were, I believe, 5 candidates on the ballot plus uncommitted. Austin Petersen was the human candidate that had the most votes, but uncommitted was the ballot choice that received the most votes. So, no, when they say that Austin Petersen lost to other, they're actually saying that he lost to uncommitted. And certainly there are some people that voted for uncommitted that probably would have voted for me had I been on the ballot, had I decided to write a check for $1,000 to the state of Missouri. Then, yeah, I could have been on the ballot, but I've got better things to do with campaign funds. I'll finish this thought in just a moment.
Hey, this is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends radio show. I've been working with computer programmer Derek Slopey to create Fiend Phone. I'm using Fiend Phone right now to talk with and record one of my co-hosts in real time. Take it, Davi.
Hey, this is Davi Barker, and I'm 1,000 miles away from Michael, but we sound like we're in the same room.
We sure do, Davi. So, Davi, please tell the nice people more about Fiend Phone.
Fiend Phone is free, open-source software that opens up a global world of possibilities for collaborative, high-quality remote voice media production, and I'm digging it.
People can try the Windows beta version of Fiend Phone right now at fiendphone.com. But we're also raising money to vastly improve Fiend Phone and vastly improve independent talk media worldwide.
So go to fiendphone.com to help out. Who will build the audio roads? We will, with your help.
That's fiendphone.com. FEENPHONE.com. Foxtrot, Echo, Echo, November, phone.com.
Fiend Phone. I never knew remote audio could be this good.
This is Paige Peterson from Made Safe, and you're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry.
So before I jump back into my answer here on the LP primary, I want to make sure that I tell you about Roberts and Roberts Brokerage. Since 1977, Roberts & Roberts has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver, and they take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit them online at rrbi.co. That's 800-874-9760 or online at rrbi.co. So back to the answer about the LP primary in Missouri. So there were 5 candidates on the ballot plus uncommitted. There was Austin Petersen, Cecil Lentz, Mark Feldman, Steve Kerbel, and I believe Rhett Smith plus uncommitted. And uncommitted wound up winning. So when they say that Austin Petersen lost to other, they actually mean he lost to uncommitted. And noticeably absent from the list of candidates on the ballot in Missouri for the Libertarian Party primary, none other than myself, Darryl W. Perry, Also, Gary Johnson, who at the filing deadline had not yet announced that he would be running again for the Libertarian nomination. And also John McAfee, who, again, at the time of the deadline, had not announced that he was running for the Libertarian Party's presidential nomination. So a lot of the people that voted for uncommitted in Missouri probably would have supported Gary, John, or myself. Now, in North Carolina, Gary was on the ballot. John was not. I was on the ballot. Austin Petersen was on the ballot, and several others. There were 11 human candidates, plus no preference, or I forget the exact the exact word that was used there in North Carolina. But that basically none of these options in North Carolina wound up finishing second behind Gary Johnson, and there's speculation that a lot of the voters that cast their ballot for that uncommitted, no preference option in North Carolina were doing so because they would otherwise have voted for John McAfee, but there's really no way to tell. And as Tom Knapp over at the Napster blog, that's KNAPPSTER.blogspot.com, Tom says that, because the turnouts in a lot of the primaries are so low, you can't necessarily call them real beauty contests. And same thing goes with the votes at the state party conventions that I've been attending, where in Pennsylvania, I actually thought that I came in second in the in the straw poll. It was a voice vote straw poll. But other people were saying that they thought that I won, so I may or may not have actually won the straw poll in Pennsylvania. If I did, great. If I didn't, oh well. Because honestly, again, it would be great to be able to say, yes, I wound up winning this straw poll. But at the same time, what matters is the delegates. And the way you get the delegates is to basically convince them to give you their vote. And that voting happens at the National Convention in Orlando over Memorial Day weekend. Now, I will be having a craft beer party, and I'll go ahead and talk about that since I'm talking about it. I wanted to rent one of the salons at the hotel where the convention is happening and give away craft beer. But I was told that because of the hotel's liquor policy or liquor permit, liquor license, whatever, that if I rented one of the salons, I could not give away beer. And so then I tried finding out from somebody working on the convention for the Libertarian Party about possibly renting one of the suites, and was told that the suite would be like $700. So instead, I will be having the craft beer party at the Clarion Inn & Suites, which is 2 hotels over from the Rosen Center where the LP convention is happening, renting a suite for a night, and I'll be having a craft beer party at the Clarion. I will post the link to the Facebook event for that in the show notes. If you are planning to be in Orlando for the national convention, you're invited. There are 2 options for getting in. You either bring craft beer to share with others, and when I say craft beer, I mean craft beer. None of this PBR. You bring in Bud Light, you're getting turned away. There's not going to be any bad beer at my craft beer party. And it's actually being called the Le Beer Tea Party at LP National. Play on the word liberty and beer, throwing the word beer in the middle of it. So again, I'll post the link to that in the show notes. And if you're planning on being at National, again, you are invited. Now, I did find out some information about the National Convention, specifically the pre-nomination debate that is aired on C-SPAN. So the way I get included in that is I need enough tokens to equal 10% of the total delegation at the beginning of the day on Saturday. So I can collect tokens starting on Friday, but I won't know exactly how many I need until Saturday morning And again, I will need some people to help me make sure that I get enough tokens to be included in that debate. And, well, there's one more question for this week's AMA, and I'll give that to you in the final segment. When her plush and comfy life suddenly and unexpectedly fell apart, Brooke and her dog Cloud set out to defy the odds. If this is a man's world, as they say, living on the streets is no place for a young woman. One day she awoke in the redwood forest and realized she had become a hobo, and would ultimately come to know exactly what it means to survive. How to Be a Hobo by Brooke Willett is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. In 2115 New England, there are no borders, no states, and no regulations, yet never has a more peaceful and prosperous place existed. But Mr. Drake's security company has seen better days. Faced with the prospect of waning power, Mr. Drake intends to replace the anarchy of New England with a government. But at what cost? Will anybody care? And can anyone stop him? Anarchy in New England by Joe Jarvis is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry, online at fppradio.com.
Yeah, hey, there's another segment here. Yeah, that's different. That's a little different. You weren't expecting that, were you? No, you weren't. But see, that's one of the things that you get differently in version 4.0 of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio is, you get an extra segment. And basically it's a way to remind me that I've only got a couple minutes left. And, well, in this final segment, generally I'll just wind up, rambling about something that I find interesting. I might just, tell you, here's something that I learned over the past week or whatever. Here's my final thought of the week. And, well, because this is the Ask Me Anything, I'm going to answer a question that I asked myself. Darryl, you were in Colorado recently. Did you buy any weed? And, well, kind of. I didn't actually buy smokable. I did buy some edibles. And so let me explain the way these cannabis dispensaries work in Colorado, or at least the one that I went to. So I walked in and I was told that, it's set up like an Apple iStore that I've never been to. But you walk in and you have to show your ID because you've got to be over 21 to purchase. And so they make sure you're over 21 to even enter. And they've got a bunch of small display cases around the room, and stuff is behind like thick plexiglass sort of stuff. And I was looking and I saw barcodes and descriptions and whatnot. And I was like, all right, so I see a couple things that I want. Now what do I do? And so I walked over to where I came in and I asked the guy, so what do I do? What do I do here? And he handed me a little device. And he said you scan the barcode, and then you put in how many of the product you want, and then you go to the center service area, and you give them the device, and then they'll give you the product, and you pay for it. All right, cool. So I got a couple of edibles, got 3 brownie bites, and got a couple of gummies, and I also got a cannabis-infused drink. It was a black cherry drink, and it was really good. So I actually, because it's illegal to consume cannabis in public, the first thing I did when I got outside was opened up the drink and started drinking a little bit of it because, civil disobedience. And then I put the rest of it in my glass of water to sort of water it down a little bit and cause it to last a little bit longer. And none of the things that I got were high THC. They were like 10 milligram cannabis brownies, 10 milligram gummy bites. And the tax is absolutely ridiculous. But, well, when all you're doing is buying edibles, those aren't easy to find on the black market. Hey, I'm out of time. Don't forget, every Wednesday I answer your questions, AMA@FPPRadio.com.
The podcasts of FPP Radio are licensed under Copyheart. We believe that copying is a form of flattery and do not abide by the copyright laws. Those laws serve to restrict the flow of ideas, which no one can really own. Copying is an act of love. Love is not subject to law. If you enjoy the show, consider joining the Fans program and get perks like ad-free versions of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio and FPP Radio News. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com.